Hello, welcome to part 2 of the video. The question again is explain why Germany was indeed unhappy with the TOV. One of the points listed just now was that it was harsh, right? Second one is humiliating. It was humiliating for the German people because it kept Germany politically weak. Alright, so CR again. Okay, my claim, Germany was unhappy with the TOV. And then my reason here is because generally, it was humiliating in that it kept Germany politically weak. Now, what am I going to put in my elaboration once again? Okay, what am I going to put in my elaboration? I would access the folders in my brain one more time with this chart over here. So, because the main focus is on the Treaty of Versailles, I will specifically look at the terms of the treaty one more time. In this case, I'm looking for things related to humiliation, alright, and the loss of power. So it's largely due to military, right? Power equals to military. So I will write about this 2.3, yeah? The demilitarization terms, army, navy, no air force, tanks, submarines. I can also talk about point number 2.2 in terms of losing the colonies in Africa and Asia Pacific, because to have colonies is to have power, right? To lose your colonies equals to losing your standing in the world. All right. So these two things will be my details. All right, the territorial reductions as well as the demilitarization. Okay, so that will be my details: the territorial reductions and the demilitarizations. Right, territorial reductions and the right. So all the details should already be in your brain. Now all you need to do is just list it down clearly. All right. Yes. So what will happen once you do all these things, right? Lose the colonies, limit the military to a small force. All right. How is this humiliating for Germany? Right. So again, in your elaboration, in your explanation, right, you must talk about the same thing as previously. How, implication, direct impact, and subsequent impact. These are the key questions you can use. You don't need to use all, but you see which one fits nicely, and that will help you to explain how. That will help you to explain why they were unhappy and why they were humiliated. Okay, so how is this humiliating? How is territorial reductions and demilitarization humiliating? And that will form my explanation. Okay, well, it is humiliating because aftermath, right, the direct impact of your reductions and your demilitarization is you will make Germany will end up being extremely vulnerable, right, to external threats. Okay, vulnerable to external threats. I believe there's another point I wrote here in the chart as well. Okay, is the impact of World War One. Sorry. So you see the defense here. They won't be able to defend themselves against the Allied power. This is humiliating, right? And not only that, they can't defend their border because of the demilitarization of the Rhineland. So they also can't defend border due to the demilitarization of the Rhineland. Militarization of the Rhineland. Right, so these two things make them extremely vulnerable. So I believe the key word here is vulnerability. All right, and as such, they are very politically weak. They are weak in terms that they cannot spread their influence, and they also can much less. They can't even defend themselves. All right, so that is why it is so humiliating. Okay, and then to add on further to this point, right, how is this humiliating? This direct impact, the direct impact of the terms resulted in them being extremely vulnerable, not being able to defend themselves, and politically weak. So then you ask yourself again, because you have not linked the question yet, how is this humiliating? This is extremely humiliating because Germany used to be a strong central power. Okay. And as such, there was a lot of pride. So now, right, there's a loss of pride. Now there's a loss of pride because you are politically weak, because you are extremely vulnerable to external threats, because you can't defend your border properly due to demilitarization of the Rhineland. As such, all these things will help to explain why it was so humiliating for Germany, and thus this humiliation was one of the reasons why Germany in fact was unhappy with the TOV. So your essay paragraph has to be planned out before you write anything, because if you just start writing, you will not have the flow, all right? The flow of logical thinking. This flow will only come out once you plan your answer, okay? So plan it like this. Claim reason, it was humiliating because it kept Germany politically weak. Then you think about, okay, so what am I going to put in my elaboration based on what I understand about the terms of the treaty? I'm going to focus on my territorial reductions and my demilitarization. All right. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to explain this. How is this humiliating? Right? This is humiliating because the direct impact of these terms is making Germany extremely vulnerable to external threats. Is resulting in Germany being unable to defend its border because of the demilitarization of the Rhineland, and this in turn is going to make Germany politically weak. Okay, but this is the first part to why it's humiliating. Okay, then the second part to why being vulnerable is humiliating to Germany, particularly to Germany, is because Germany used to be a strong central power. So by limiting the terms and the military, by making Germany weak, you will make Germany lose its pride, right, as a previous central power. As such, therefore, vis-a-vis, it is humiliating, and therefore they were unhappy. Okay, so everything here, right, the loss of pride, everything is going to link to the reason, in this case, why it was humiliating. Right, all these things is going to link to the reason why it was humiliating, and therefore answering my question as to why the Germans were in fact unhappy with the TOV. All right, so that is how you should do it. All right, essay, plan your essay, because you never know what question might come out. The outcome might change a bit. The factor they give might change a bit. So you can't rely on memorizing essays word for word. But what you can rely on is thinking of the possible questions they can ask and practicing on how you can use the information in the PDF over here, the key details, in order to make sense of the question and explain it well. All right, this will be 100 times better than memorizing model essays, which only presents you with one type of question and one way of answering. Okay, so you need to build up your arsenal of a variety of ways in which you can answer different questions with your key details.